As you might have heard if you've already watched the TSA Weekly podcast this week, I started a brand new job this week. Yes, I am still working full-time in the corporate world while I build my business. And if you ever want to talk about why I'm choosing to do that, let me know in the comments because I would love to chat about it. But over on TSA, I was telling you guys about a lot of the things that I've been doing for the last few weeks to prepare for the changes for this new busy season of being in this new job. And a part of that was how I reshaped my routine in order to make sure that I still had time for the things that are important without burning myself out. But over here on Faith and Focus, I want to talk about why my morning time with God was never even considered to be on the chopping block as I was resetting and revising my morning routine. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that little notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, so I have a number of things that I do in my morning routine. I do some sort of movement. I always read my Bible and spend time with God. I spend time with Puff, drinking my coffee and things like that. And then now, as I mentioned over on TSA Weekly, I'm having to add in some time in the morning for working on my business before my new workday starts. And the reality is that my time with God takes up a decent chunk of that time. Ultimately, I decided to shift the alarm clock a little bit earlier so that I could make space for all of those things because my movement, my devotional, and my time with Puff and family and all of that, it's all vital to me starting out my day in the best possible way. But the reality is that time with God, it's time consuming. And, I had options that I could have shortened it or cut it or moved it to the evening. And moving it to the evening wouldn't necessarily be bad. I just know that I'm more likely to skip it or forget about it if it's not one of the first things that I do every day. So why did I prioritize it? I prioritized it for a lot of reasons because I know that talking to God in the morning and getting my head right and making sure that I'm aligned with my beliefs and my values before I dive into a busy day is super key. But also recently I've been doing a study with the First Five app, which is part of the Proverbs 31 Ministries. If you don't know about it, I highly recommend you download the First Five app. It's awesome. It's Bible studies, kind of like for women by women. Not that there's one guy, I think, involved in some of the teachings and stuff like that, but it's mostly women just sharing their insights and their thoughts. And recently they've been doing a study on Hosea, which is a book that I really wasn't that familiar with. I mean, I have read through the Bible multiple times over the course of my life, but some things stick with you more than others, right? You've got Genesis, Exodus, Esther, the Gospels, all of that. Hosea was just one that kind of, I don't know, it just flew under my radar. I really didn't remember that much about it. And if you're also feeling like, oh yeah, what is that even about? Go read it because it's actually pretty impactful. It's really interesting. And maybe even go find the plan in the First Five app and do the same study that I've been doing. But recently there were some thoughts, some questions given to us by the woman who was writing that day in the study. And, she asked a couple of questions that I felt, I don't know, I don't want to say they necessarily convicted me per se, but they definitely got me thinking about the potential of allowing my business to become too important, to become more important than it should, and almost possibly to become something that I value higher than God, something that is almost worshipped. Because the reality is where we give our attention and where we spend our time does turn into a sort of worship, right? There were a couple of questions that she brought up that I just thought, you know what, I'm going to share them with you guys because I feel like they were so relevant to me that maybe they'll be really relevant to you as well. So the first question she asked is God most important in my heart? She says here, we may not worship a golden calf, but anything can become an idol if it's more important to us than God. Exactly. In Hosea 8 verses 1 and 2, it reminds us that if we say that we know God, it means that we need to be living out our love for God. And that doesn't just mean being a nice person. I mean, yeah, obviously that's part of it. But that means giving him priority in our lives. It means showing ourselves and others that we value him more than anything else and that we're going to make sure that time with him, this is my interpretation now, that time with him is more important than time in our business. Honestly, even more important than time with our family. So it really just got me thinking, am I prioritizing him more than I'm prioritizing my business? And then the second question she asked was, do I seek God's wisdom first? And the thing is, like, we all go to multiple different sources to get advice for things and to learn new things. And obviously, I'm not going to go to God and say, hey, can you teach me how to use this new software or, whatever. Like, there's a difference between training in skills and seeking wisdom. So when it comes to building the life that I want to be living and becoming the person I want to become, I need to first be seeking God's wisdom before looking to anybody else. Even someone like Mel Robbins, who you guys know I love. God's wisdom always has to come first. And in James 1, verse 5, we're reminded that when we need wisdom, we should ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given. And I think my favorite part of that little section of verse is without reproach. There's no judgment. There's no shame. There's no asking God for something and, oh, I'm asking too much. I should be more grateful. I shouldn't, always go to God and say, I need, I need, I need. And granted, we shouldn't. We should be going to God in gratitude, in praise and worship. But you can and should go to God and ask for what you need because he actually delights in giving generously without reproach to those who ask. So as you're navigating through your circumstances and figuring out how to build the life and the business that you want, make sure that you're seeking God's wisdom before seeking the wisdom of anyone here on earth, including yourself and your own creativity. And then the third question she asked was, am I obeying God? There is a huge difference between knowing God's wisdom and knowing what he's telling us to do and actually acting on it, actually doing it. When we choose to obey and actually act on God's wisdom, we are showing him that we trust him. We are showing him that we believe that he has our best in mind for our lives, but also for our businesses. We're showing him that we trust him with our business and that even if, and it probably won't, it doesn't turn out the way that we plan or the way that we expect, that we trust that he is taking us in the right direction because he loves us and because he wants what's best for us. In Proverbs 16:20, it says, whoever heeds instruction will find success, and blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. So I just want to leave you with that thought. And if you'd like to, in the comments, go ahead and let me know which one of these three questions kind of hit you the hardest and why. I hope this episode encouraged and inspired you. And if it did, please share it with another Christian business owner that could use the same encouragement. Thanks for being here. God bless you and your business. See you in the next episode.